Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Masked Beast Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for July 2021. This was a deck that focuses on the cards used by Loomis and Umbra in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Really fun deck. The masked cards were always a favorite of mine, especially when I first started up Yu-Gi-Oh! When Labyrinth of Nightmare was the newest pack that was out. I really wanted to pull all the different masked cards you can pull. There were so many different rarity ones. I never pulled Mask of Restrict, but I always pulled plenty of different Mask of Brutalities, Accursed, Dispel, you name it. Was able to get all of them except Mask of Restrict, and, ironically, we don't actually use that card in this deck because it kind of takes away from the actual playstyle of the Masked Beast deck as a whole. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Masked Beast monsters, our main go-to boss monster is Masked Beast Descardius. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand by attributing 2 monsters, including at least 1 Grand Tiki Elder or Melkid, the 4-faced beast. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and equip 1 Mask of Remnants from your deck to it. So Mask of Remnants is a card that can basically just take your opponent's monster or change control of whatever monster is equipped with the card. So as long as that card's on one of your opponent's monsters, you can easily take that resource away from them by having this 3,300 attack point monster be more of a boss monster they don't want to get rid of, as long as they don't have a monster on the field that they don't mind handing over to you after you destroy it. 3 of it, it's just a very easy card to summon out, needing just 2 monsters on the field, including the normal monsters we spoke of before, and just 1 you can easily rely on as a powerhouse to get over a good number of cards on your opponent's field. For the other part of the Masked Beast deck, being a ritual-based deck, I also run 2 of the Masked Beast. I decided to stick more with Masked Beast Descardius as being an easier boss monster to summon out, and the fact that it actually has a monster effect. The Masked Beast has actually lower attack than Descardius, and is more of just an easy ritual play to summon out onto the field, and one that can be searched from the deck. You don't really need multiple copies of a full playset of this card. The best thing I would say is also they're both level 8 monsters, so if need be and you had both of them on the field and you needed to go for a different play, you could always overlay the 2 together and then see summon out a different monster. But on the field, they can at least hit over a good number of different cards that your opponent may have, including Blue Eyes White Dragon with a 3,000 attack point boost from there, with the Masked Beast having 3,200 and Descardius having 3,300. As for the normal monsters we run in the deck, for the main summon of Masked Beast Descardius, I run 3 Melkid, the 4-faced beast, and also 3 Grand Tiki Elder. Now, all these cards, which is useful about them, is the fact that they are level 4, meaning that they can be used to ritual summon out the Masked Beast if this card is in your hand, or if you have Masked Beast Descardius in your hand, just needing the tribute of 2 on the field to summon out this card onto the field to make use of. So just running multiples of all these cards makes it that much more easy to summon these cards out onto the field to use. But special summoning them definitely helps with a boost from our next card, which is Rescue Rabbit. Just having this can give you the 2 monsters needed on the field, avoiding the banish of these cards before the end of the turn. Just summoning out 2 of them, and at least one of the names would be either Grand Tiki Elder or the Melkid. So then you have the option of summoning out Descardius with just a Rescue Rabbit, and then having those 2 monsters in the graveyard to reuse for those summons. So that's why I like to run 3 Rescue Rabbits, so you always have the recycle option with this card in the deck and multiple numbers to at least hit a good number of the different normal monsters we run. For more of the ritual play in the deck also, I will run 3 Jin, Presider of Rituals with this card. When you ritual summon a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard as one of the monsters required for the ritual summon. If a monster ritual summon using this card destroys a monster by battle, the controller of the ritual draws 1 card. So with this card on the field for the Masked Beast, it's basically giving the Masked Beast an actual monster effect. It was just a ritual monster beforehand, but at least with Jin, Presider of Rituals, I can attack into an opponent's monster with this 3,200 attack point monster and then draw each time it destroys a monster. So an added plus to keep hand consistency in the deck, and being a level 4 monster just makes it that much more easy to summon out onto the field, or at least use from the graveyard as an additional resource. If you have a normal monster in this card, it can be the tribute for Descardius, and then the ritual play from the graveyard being the additional banish of this card to summon out that monster. And that is it for the monsters. We're running a pretty small monster count with the main focus just being to summon out our main go-to 2 boss monsters, which I'll show some combos at the end of the video to easily make use of both of these cards for the search. As for the spells, we're focusing on a mask type of deck. So for more power boosts to our monsters, I run 3 Mask of Brutality. The equipped monster gains 1,000 attack and loses 1,000 defense. Once per turn during your standby phase, you must pay 1,000 life points or destroy this card. So this card can be a provided boost if you just have to get over a stronger number or just even deal more damage to your opponent depending on what masked beast monster you equip it to, whether it be Descardius or the Masked Beast. Both monsters will be over 4,000 attack, so just a heavy hitter against your opponent with this card. But you also want to make sure that you prevent your opponent from attacking into your own cards on the field. That's why we are also running 3 Mask of Accursed. Now the biggest thing with the mask cards is that they take away from your life points with each activation. The equipped monster cannot attack. Once per turn during your standby phase, inflict 500 damage to your opponent to the controller of the equipped card. So unlike Mask of Brutality that takes damage away from you because you'll most likely equip it to this card for the pay 1,000 life points or destroy the card, Mask of Accursed will take away from your opponent being equipped onto one of those monsters. Now it's probably definitely easy to get rid of that monster with just another extra deck play, but the biggest thing you can do is equip this on to, let's say, a boss monster or just a more difficult monster your opponents to get rid of, and then they're just stuck with that card on the field. Either they'll try and destroy it, or if they can go into another resource, which most of the time they can't, they'll have a hard time getting rid of Mask of the Accursed unless they have a way to destroy back row also. Now for Masked Beast Descardius, we are running 2 Mask of Remnants. Now I run 2 of this card just so you always have the option to have another one in the deck to activate. When you activate this card, you shuffle it from the field into the deck, and when this card is equipped by a monster effect of Masked Beast Descardius, take control of that monster. So you activate this card after Descardius leaves the field, equipping it onto your opponent's monster and taking that monster by switching control of it. Now, once again, once you activate this card and resolve the proper way, it'll just go to the graveyard. So if you summon out another Descardius, you need that second copy of Mask of Remnants to at least be able to use again with the second Descardius on the field. You can ideally run a third copy of this card if you want to. You can try mixing and matching the other numbers of Mask of the Accursed and Mask of Brutality for a third copy of this, but after that, it kind of becomes a dead draw because all you can do with this card when you draw it is activate it to shuffle it back into the main deck. For more of the ritual search, I also run 2 Curse of the Masked Beast. It's just the ritual spell needed for summoning out the Masked Beast onto the field. But what's good about it is it can be searched out with pre-preparation of rites, so just another additional search to thin down the deck. So that's why I'm also just running 2 of this card along with 2 of the Masked Beast ritual monster. And then for some of the lower numbers for the mask cards, I just run 1 Mask of Dispel. It's more selective for the options what can stop. You select 1 face-up spell card on the field. The controller of the spell card must take damage of 500 life points during each of his or her standby phases. And when the selected card is destroyed or removed from the field, this card's also destroyed. So just a more additional burn damage card against your opponent. I only run the 1. It's more for those decks that, if your opponent is running a face-up spell card, just a good way to add to the burn damage along with Mask of the Accursed, hitting for more and more damage, and then ideally hitting for game with your Masked Beast Descardius or the Masked Beast Ritual Monster. For more of the Ritual Search, I am running 3 pre-preparation of rites. With this card, you add 1 Ritual Spell card from your deck to your hand, and add 1 Ritual Monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, whose name is listed on that Ritual Spell card. So more and more search for this card. That's why I only run 2 of each of the other ones, because you can easily search all those cards out, and then recycle the Ritual Monster from the graveyard back to your hand to reuse. That additional search comes in handy, very much so, with all the different plays, and I feel that's all you really need for that search power. I also run 3 Unexpected Die, just as the additional special summon power for all the different normal monsters we run in the deck, Melkid and Grand Tiki Elder. So along with this card and Rescue Rabbit, you can have a good number of different cards on the field to summon out and use against your opponent. With a little bit more draw power, relying on Allure of Darkness, we run Dark Attribute for a good majority of the cards in the deck, including our Djinn monsters. I think Rescue Rabbit's the only thing that's not a dark monster, but most of the time you don't even want to banish that card with Allure of Darkness. You want to make use of it for your special summon, but sometimes if you just need to get to some more important mask cards or just some more draw power, Allure of Darkness definitely does come in handy for that. For the last of the spells, I run 1 Call by the Grave for shutting down my opponent's graveyard plays, and the 1 Pot of Avarice. I don't run Monster Reborn, mostly for the fact that you don't really need to special summon a good number of cards on the field, you can just rely on Jin, Presider of Rituals from the graveyard for the banish to summon out the Masked Beast. So with that, you can just rely on Pot of Avarice for recycling the normal monsters and Rescue Rabbit back into the main deck to draw and reuse. With the last of the traps sticking more for the fun premise of the mask monsters, just 2 Mask of Weakness. Maybe one day we'll get some additional support for the mask deck in which we can actually summon out and, search out all these different mask cards. Maybe we'll get like a field spell, like a mask shop or something like that, or even just additional cards that benefit from having different mask cards on the field or in the graveyard. But this one just lowers the attack of your opponent's monsters, so that additional damage can definitely help. Setting up this card, activating it, and then your opponent's monster, which they thought could potentially hit into one of our weaker monsters, would end up getting destroyed. I like us seeing this, especially with Jin, Presider of the Rituals on the field, having 1800 attack and my opponent's monster with 2400 going up against it and getting destroyed because I activate this card. But that is it for the main deck. Moving on now to the extra deck. For the extra deck, it's pretty generic. There's no Mask, Xyz monsters, or Link monsters. So with it, we run 1 Daigusto Morale for the normal monster, special summon 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Abyss Dweller, and 1 number 41 Baguska, along with 1 Dark Rebellion. If we need to go for the rank 4 plays because we don't have Descardius in our hand, these are the best options I would say to go into, just using Rescue Rabbit as a level 4 engine. I also run 1 number 68 Sanafon the Sky Prison, 1 Dingirsu, and 1 number 38 for the rank 8 plays we can use with the Masked Beast and Masked Beast Descardius. And as for the Link monsters, I run 1 Cross Sheep. I like this card in the deck for the ritual play, when we can just benefit having a ritual point to this card. 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice for the Dark Attribute once again, and also 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Link Spider, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Borreload Dragon to finish off the Link monster lineup. Now, as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, relying on special summoning out Descardius is a very important one. That's why we run multiples of this card, so we can easily see it on the field. So the original play I spoke of before is just having this card and Descardius, so Rescue Rabbit and Descardius in your hand, can basically be the summon to get this card out. All you have to do is summon out Rescue Rabbit and then banish it for the summon of your 2 normal monsters, which Descardius then specifies that only one of them have to be named Grand Tiki Elder or Melkid. So then you would tribute these cards and summon out your Masked Beast Descardius with that special summon, having a 3300 attack point monster on the field, which then you can make use of for the banish and also taking control of, and also equipping on different power cards onto it, making it even stronger against your opponent, depending on what else you have in your hand. You can have this, the additional ritual plays, you name it, all available to you with these cards. Now, for as another option for summoning out not only Masked Beast Descardius, but also the Masked Beast from your hand, you can summon both of these cards, ideally, if you have the setup for your play being the Unexpected Die special summon, along with the Rescue Rabbit summon as well. So what's great about this is you summon out and activate Unexpected Die, giving you the play for a normal monster on the field, and then also being able to rely on that summon. If you have, let's say, Jin, Presider Rituals, you can then normal summon this card onto the field, giving you the 2 monsters needed for the tribute of your Masked Beast Descardius. And not only will that set up Jin, Presider of the Rituals, in your graveyard, as long as you have that 1 additional monster in your hand, you don't have to use Masked Beast Descardius on the field. So even with just an additional search, let's say Pre-Preparation of Rites is the card you use to search out not only your ritual monster, but also the spell needed to summon it out onto the field, you can have that additional monster in your hand be the ritual play, meaning you can then banish your Jin from the graveyard after you activate your Curse of the Masked Beast, banishing it and using the Grand Tiki Elder in your hand to have the Masked Beast Descardius along with the Masked Beast on the field. And not only that, since you banish the Jin Presider Rituals, it will have the additional monster effect when it attacks and destroys an opponent's monster to draw an additional card from your deck. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I always, like I said, I've been a huge fan of the Masked Beasts, so definitely glad I was able to do an update to the deck. And maybe one day we'll see a Duelist pack where we get more support for all of these different cards. But until then, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.